want to know if they're around so we can monitor their numbers and hopefully control the numbers, which is very good for our native animal species. The base of the raft, and I'm just going to head down and we'll start putting it in the river.
But she also mentioned that after showing us one, could we make a mink raft and repair the one she had? Well, we turned around and the answer was, we can make them and we can improve on that. And she said, oh well, could you make? I think the initial order was for 30. Anyway, we did set up. They provided the stuff. We set up and drawing lines down a sheet of ply. One sheet of ply, cut in quarters and make 2 rafts. But we were cutting by hand or with jigsaws, and no 2 rafts were exactly the same. They were happy with what we'd done. Oh, they were also screwed together. They were happy with what we'd done, but we modified, set up a jig for cutting, still screwing together, and still not being very accurate, not being as accurate as could be. Then George came along and set up proper jigs. All our bits of ply were cut exactly the same. Since then, we've made it easier again by making another jig to cut all our side pieces, the bits around the hole in the middle, one thing and another. The middles now, instead of being cut out with a jigsaw, is being cut out with a router. Far big improvement, and they're all now being cut. They're exactly the same. All the bits of the tunnel are the same, so tunnels go from one to another, no problems. We've now made 180 of them.
Okay, on you go. It came about from a visit by a lady from the RSPB who came down to give us a talk on invasive species, and some of those are Japanese knotweed, hogweed, which is really nasty, and the animals, one of which is the mink, and the American mink to be more precise. They were brought into this country and basically bred to provide pelts to make clothes, we know, and not very nice really. But, and inevitably some of them would escape, or when it was gradually shut down and made illegal, some farmers just let them go. And it's not so bad, but I mean that's cruel in itself, but they are very destructive. They soon gained a hold and spread very quickly, and they not only sort of kill to feed themselves, but they will kill anything in the vicinity. So the idea is to locate them and control them. And one of the ways of doing this is to put what's called a mink raft in the river where you suspect they might be, and it's just a small floating platform with a tunnel, wooden tunnel that can be removed, and in the middle of that is a plastic basket with clay in it, and it's kept wet because it's dipping in the water. Now they're moored in the river at a suspected location of mink, and then monitored every so often. Now the idea is that anything that goes in, just out of curiosity, will leave footprints in the clay, and if mink footprints are found, then a trap which just fits in the tunnel is placed there, and the mink are caught and disposed of.
So this is the base of our raft. It forms a nice platform. We've got some nice chicken mesh at the front, so that's useful for the mink if they're trying to climb up, to have a little nosy and see what's this is all about, and that helps them climb on. And then in the middle of the raft we're putting in our clay pad. So our clay pad is very straightforward actually. In the bottom we've got this green Oasis florist's foam, and that actually soaks up lots of water from the river, and that helps to keep the clay on top nice and damp. And when the clay is nice and damp, it leaves nice impressions when anything walks on it. So hopefully what should happen is our mink should walk over this clay pad and they'll leave nice prints on it, and then when we come to check it we'll get an idea if there are any mink in the area. So this just sits in the middle of our raft, nice and neatly like that. And we'll just smooth it over, get rid of all of my fingerprints, just in case they might get mistaken for a print, you never know.
It's been a spotting of a Deirdre in the river.
Yeah. And then on top of that we pop our tunnel. This is really crucial, so mink are really curious. They really like to know what's going on. So if they see a raft floating in the river, especially with a tunnel on it, they'll want to go and investigate. And if we pop this over the top, they'll come, they'll have a look around, and then they'll hopefully walk through the tunnel just to be curious and investigative. And that's when they'll leave the prints on our clay pad. So this is a really important part of our raft. Now to stop the tunnel floating away, we've got these little anchor points which just screw around like that, and they keep our tunnel nice and secure on this. So because it's floating just by the bank, what mink tend to do when they're travelling up and down the river is they will sort of hug to the bank all the way down. So hopefully if we have mink on this river, they'll be following the river down, and they'll come across the raft, they'll be a bit curious and they'll climb through the tunnel, and then they'll leave lots of nice prints for us to find.
Are they good swimmers?
They're very good swimmers, yeah. So you even find them not on rivers, sort of along the coast as well, out at sea. So yeah, they are very, very good swimmers, which is great for us being able to monitor them on the river as well.
Right, thank you very much for that.
No worries, no worries at all. Is there anything else you wanted me to talk about, or?
No. Well, how many mink have you detected in this area, or have you?
Yeah.
Any?
So this summer, within the Cromarty Firth catchment area, we've caught and dispatched 6 mink. But on top of that, we've had confirmed sightings of probably another 4 or 5. So I think there's probably a lot more out there than we're catching, which is why rafts like this are so important, because they give us a much better idea of exactly what the population number is. We don't have an exact estimate for the population number in the Cromarty Firth area, but we're hoping with rafts like this we can start to sort of gather that information. But we definitely have them in this area. We have a lot of sightings on the Connon River in particular, but we don't know for the Balnagown. This is our first raft on the Balnagown, so we're hoping it will tell us a little bit more.